And I'm back with more cookbooks. Here is the same cookbook from two different decades. This is the 1959 edition of the book. This is the 1969 edition. And I thought I'd present it, present both books, show you what the differences are and some of the reasons why I bought these. Again, these are thrift shop finds. Where else did you get these? These were owned. This one was owned by Daniel Waters in Holyoke, Mass. And it's by the editors of Better Homes and Gardens. This is the 59 edition. Meat makes the meal. Not for me, I'm vegetarian, but that's, of course, that makes it easier for me to just look at the pictures instead of looking at the actual context and contents of the pictures. So you see, this is what it looks like. The design of the book is very attractive, and it sort of looks its time. Now you don't really see this kind of stuff any longer, but I'm very fascinated by the way they did this. You see the images in different places, and here you have these anonymous shoppers holding the meat, beef bargains, so you can see the meat. Here's some more meat presented. What can I say? It's displaying the meat typology, I suppose. Alright, and then there's a lot of stuff that's kind of useful or useless depending on whether you cook meat or not. It's mostly useless for me, so I'm not going to show you the whole book, of course, but I'm going to show you some details. So here's a more typology-ish material, black and white, giving you all the different types of beef and pork and how to cook them, just in case you're wondering. I don't know how useful this really is, or was. Lamb and veal. I don't know, but I'm very fascinated by this grid of meat, black and white meat. I could see that on the wall of an art museum. It's not going to happen. And then it's really just a regular cookbook, showing you how to, I don't know, whatever that is, putting the thermometer into the meat. Here's some instructions. The pictures are all very nice, or extremely nice. I love these kinds of images. If you looked at the other cookbook presentation, then you remember that I have a weakness for these kinds of photographs. Not every cookbook, not every old cookbook is done this nicely, so it's not like you buy an old cookbook and this is what you get. I spent considerable time looking at the various books they had there. Let me just skip something and go to some more pretty pictures. This is literally just meat with potato. Why not? Except it's really unhealthy for you, but that's a different issue. So you see, this is kind of a different design, which I actually like. The image is just cut out and silhouetted. So you see that there's considerable skill went into making these kinds of books. Okay, so you remember these kinds of diagrams from seeing them earlier. Here's the presentation. The photographs in this book are not quite as good as in the book that I showed you a little while ago, but it's good for different reasons. And this, just going to skip here a little more because I'm not going to, as I said, I'm not going to show you the whole book. Plus, I wanted to show you the other book 10 years later, but this is a pretty spectacular spread here, again showing you different kinds of meat, how you prepare them. I always like the presentation with the hands. See how beautiful that is? Not that I would eat that stuff, but I just like the way this is presented. I call this type of, it's just, I saw this and I had to buy it. I mean, how can you not have that picture in your house? It's kind of functional photography. It's a mix, I guess, between food photography and photography intended to sort of serve as an illustration to educate. This is what makes it so interesting for me. Finally, some people in their homes happily enjoying their meat with a little salad on the side. This is it's an interesting way to use photography in a book. This book is about the same, well, it is the same year almost, than Robert Frank's The Americans. It's kind of funny to think about it that way. So this book is from '59, and this one is kind of the same book, but from '69. Over 400 recipes again. This is different. So you see this is going to look a little different. Even the table of contents is different. I don't know, I didn't look at whether the recipes are the same or whether they've changed. But you see the presentation is a little different. Alright, this is kind of similar, except they got rid of the colors there in the headlines. And then you have your presentation of the meat done in a sort of different style. So it went away. I think there's a typology in here, but this clearly is not. You know, this is kind of, I like this beef steak identification chart that appeals to the German in me, to have a proper chart. And why wouldn't you? Okay, and then this looks like the '59 book, except there's way less colors. You have the cutout again, but it looks different. You can see the change in design. Alright, so it's another one of those. And then the pictures are very similar, these food pictures. Okay, so here's again presentation of meat, in this case veal, and then some recipes. All in all, this book is not quite as nice as the 1959 one. Here you have your pork cuts. Just gonna skip this. Here's your ham cuts. Yeah, it's just chunks of stuff, I guess. I don't know. If you like that kind of stuff. You know, pictures are beautiful. Skipping some more, just to give you an idea what this looks like. So in terms of the photography, this is probably less interesting for me. These two books are less interesting. I'm kind of like this here. Are less interesting than the other one I showed you the other day. But of course I like stuff like this very much. Kind of a typology of sausages. Who doesn't like a typology of sausages? And then lastly, what did I pick out here? Here's food fun with action meals. Action meal involves beer, bunch of dead lobsters, clam bake for everyone. So this is this book. Oops. Some fish. So these are the Better Homes and Gardens meat cookbooks from 1959 and '69. Example of vintage cookbooks using images in, I think, very interesting ways. Clearly the older one seems a little bit more interesting, even though the typologies in this one are in color. So it's sort of a trade-off. This one is more colorful all throughout. This one has the color typologies.